are such an asshole.
Oh, today's video brought to you by Bachelor Pad Economics, a financial advice Bible for men, link below. And then also, what the hell else was it? Oh, Achieving Financial Excellence Theory and Practice. No, that's the minimalism course. Link below is Achieving Financial Excellence because the minimalism course isn't open. And that will address some of the other questions you might have in this. Anonymous writes, pull it up. Hi, Aaron, returning client here. This is a video request aimed more at people who already make a decent living and have no debt. The topic idea comes from thoughts I have almost daily, and I think it could serve to help others. Brief background. I'm self-employed, 51-year-old, never married male with no kids. How much money does he have? I own my own home free and clear. Wow, really? But wait, there's more. And it's worth in excess of $400,000. I have no debt to speak of and have an emergency fund that would last how long? 3 to 5 years. The thought I have almost daily is this: what if I wouldn't have built a new house and purchased a new truck? Well, the truck, all right, let's delineate between the two and I'll kind of paint the path for you to view how I'm going to dissect this. The truck is going to go down in value. The house generally not. Can housing prices go down? Yes, they can. We learned that in 2007, 2008. But generally speaking, your house, and even this, your house isn't necessarily going to go up in value, but it's going to maintain and keep pace with inflation. Also, just so you know, it all depends. Housing is not like a stock of IBM. A share of IBM is the same price in Arizona, is the same price in New York, is the same price as Florida. A house in Florida, that same house in Florida, Arizona, or New York is not going to be the same, is going to perform differently. But generally speaking, a truck will go down to zero value. Your house should maintain, well, your house is going to maintain at least some value, likely keeping up with inflation, and certainly with housing inflation. Again, they are paid for, but had I not done either and just lived like a minimalist, I could be sitting on $400,000 cash right now. All right. Here's my question to you, sir. That's $400,000. So what would you have to do without your house? That's right. Now your truck, I agree. Your truck, you should have paid cash for a used one. But let's remove the truck from the formula, because I'm just going to say the mistake you did with the truck is you bought new when you didn't need a new truck. No one needs a new truck. Nobody needs a new anything. Could have gotten a decent used truck for a fraction of the cost. All right, but you don't have a truck payment. That's fine. Let's remove that. You don't have a truck payment. We're done with the truck. Let's say you didn't buy the house. You'd still have to rent, dude. And this is kind of it's not a mistake, but it's a classic oversight people have. Where it's like, oh, look, my house went up. If I sold my house, I paid $200,000 for it 5 years ago. Now it's worth $400,000. I'd make $200,000. No, you wouldn't. The reason why is because if you sold your house for $400,000, you'd have to go buy a new house in the inflated market. And unless you were going from a hot market to a cold market, which happens, it can happen, you really didn't get any more housing. In other words, the $200,000 5 years ago that you used to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, you sold it to $400,000. That $400,000, generally speaking, is going to buy you a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. You're not getting any more housing, and you got to live somewhere. And so you didn't really gain anything. Now, another common oversight similar to this: I sell my house, I make a lot of money, but then I buy into an overinflated housing market anyway, so I didn't really make any money. There was no real capital gains there in terms of purchasing power. I sold my house. I'm not going to buy another house. Look, I made $200,000 on this house. Yeah, now you get to rent. And generally speaking, and especially since the Great Recession, the housing crisis, rents have kind of kept up. They've gone up. They didn't stagnate while housing prices went up. They've gone up too. And this happened to some people I know where they sold their house and they want to live in the fancy apartment, old seniors, retirement couples. And all they did was blow $1,600 to $2,000 a month away. And there's no equity. There was no buildup. The asset that they own, they didn't own an asset, so that didn't keep up with housing inflation. They were just renting. And so fine, yeah, okay, say you'd have $400,000 if you didn't buy your home, but you'd then have, in theory, a lifelong expense. Well, how much is okay? So let's say you're 51, and let's say you're going to live conservatively till 80. So let's say 30 years, all right, times 12 months, okay, times, I'm going to call it 2,000 a month. That's 720. I didn't even have to be that concerned. Hey, let's do this again. So 30 years time, and we're not even doing rent inflation. 30 years times 12 months times, let's just say 1,500. That's much more reasonable. That's $540,000 a month cash expense for the rest of your life. And so in simplifying it, you're going to have to pay for housing somehow, either in buying a house or by paying rent. And yeah, you could have had that $400,000, but you would have had to spend more than that to go away. Now, of course, there's the argument, and you're right, you could have thrown that into a mutual fund or a dividend yield or something like that, got a rate of return. So you probably would come out a little bit ahead in terms of the money and finance there, renting a place. But then I'd counter argue, I'd say, well, what, your house wouldn't go up in value either? The capital gains could go both ways. And so when it comes to housing and minimalism, you got to think about that. Oh, I made oh gosh, I bought a house. I bought this nice house. I would argue, if you were a true minimalist when it comes to housing, you get, like, Bill Burr came up with this idea, like the perfect bachelor hut, where it's a 3-car garage below and a 1-bedroom apartment up above. I think he's right, for a guy anyway. Girls, I don't know, and frankly don't give a damn what the hell you do with, well, I like this. But for men, yeah, 3-car garage down below, at least 2 cars, and then stuff for tools and equipment and whatever else have you. 1 bedroom up above. That's what a minimalist would have. All right. Talk about my buddy, the talented Mr. Lee, who lives in essentially a studio apartment house. It's a very small, like a cabin. Walk in, living room, kitchenette. Other side, there's bedroom and the little shower area with a toilet. That's all anyone really needs. And whether you were renting that or you were buying it, your lifetime rent expense would be low and your purchasing price would be very low. I built a rather small house. It's really only a 2-person house. I didn't get some ridiculously large big McMansion. What do I got? I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. For we got offices. Well, I guess if you consider the office, that'd be a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. But it's not that big. And I use every room, for business purposes and all that. Hey, if I didn't have to record, shoot. Well, you gotta get away from the woman. See, now if you didn't have a woman in your life, you could just have the bachelor hut, man. You wouldn't need nope, 1 bedroom, 3-car garage. Get the fuck out of here. That's where you make your savings. That's where a minimalist would come in. But you didn't factor in rent in your analysis. Like, oh, I could have had all this money. Like, yeah, but you'd have a monthly expense of $1,500 a month. And so when it comes to minimalism, it's and housing. Housing is more of a personal lifestyle choice. And this, whether you're a minimalist or not, it really is, where are you in life? What do you want out of life? If you are going to have a family, chances are you're going to need a house. You could be a minimalist and have a family. Just, focus on the love of family and not buying your children things and toys and stuff and shooting them full of Ritalin anytime they need discipline. Generally speaking, though, if you're a single person, they found that renting is cheaper than housing because housing has insurance and taxes and all. Now that's imputed into your rent as well, but it's spread across an apartment building. Some people, they want to live off grid, like Joker, Better Bachelor. I don't think he has a huge place. He just has a small little place. Some people buy land and put a trailer on it. That's very minimalistic, yet you have the upside of property ownership and the capital gains that come with it. Other people, they want to be a vagabond. Like Andrew Henderson of Nomad Capitalist. I don't know if he owns a house. He seems to be like the last candidate to own a house because he's traveling all over the place and hasn't figured out where to move yet. Maybe he has. I don't know. But any kind of, like when Rouge V was traveling the world, you don't buy property then. But your age, 51, let's say you found out where you want to live. Like, this is a place you want to live. We're planting roots here. We're going to defend it. Go get the guns. We're not leaving. I would get some property because and I'm minimalist. Also have this crazy ability, like you, sir, to not have debt. So if you did have a mortgage, you'd probably pay it off. So by the time you'd be old, you'd have this paid off asset that you could liquidate if necessary or borrow against. I would generally lean towards owning a home as opposed to not, but only if it works for your situation and only if it's never get more home than you need. Buy used cars, never have more home than you need. These are all the financial ones. Don't get married. That's universal and financial advice. Don't get married, which you did. Oh my God, can you believe the 51-year-old who never got married and didn't have kids has a house paid off and has FU money? Imagine that. Oh, see, and I'm fully aware the whole point and purpose for most people is to get married, have kids, have love, all that. I'm like, yeah, you know what? There's this thing called freedom. Where it's like, no, I don't worry about food. I don't worry about sleep. I don't get to do what I want. And that's the only thing a philosophical minimalist would really pursue in life if they're not going to pursue family would be freedom. To have a nice, calm, peaceful life, not material things and stuff and all that. But I wouldn't be kicking myself in the shins and stop like, what if I didn't buy the house? Well, you'd have to pay rent. And you could run a bunch of different scenarios. Like, okay, you're 51, let's just say 30 years. You could have thrown that, get a spreadsheet, throw it into the S&P 500, get you 12% rate of return annualized on average. Then figure out what rent would cost for a similar sized house and do the cash flow analysis. And then also assume that the money you have is also tossed into S&P. I'm sorry. No, you'd have to account for that. Your housing price would go up, I don't know, 7-8% a year. I'd have to look at the historical long-term average. I got a feeling it'd be a draw. It'd be really close. And so then it's like, well, do you like having a house and not having neighbors? And, or conversely, do you not mind your neighbors and hate shoveling and hate doing repairs and all that other stuff? So, but yeah, that's where your oversight is, well, yeah, you got to pay rent. So it's still going to be a cash flow every year. Paul K, $3. Wisda super chat at $5. Ah, God damn it. All right. I'll have to go back and get Wisda. I'll get Wisda again. Paul K, $3. Appreciate your short stuff. Yeah, no problem. All right. That's it. I'll go get Wisda's super chat. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.